Hi, I'm Cody Asher, and today I'll be doing my persuasive speech, and this is my audience. Okay, so one of the biggest questions that is asked today is, should the Second Amendment give citizens the right to own assault weaponry? So, what is assault weaponry? Well, the Second Amendment. And so the Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the freedom of the state, security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So that basically sets out that the government, based upon the Constitution, has to protect our rights to bear arms in self-preservation. And what is an assault weapon? So, assault, defined by Merriam-Webster's dictionary, is a threat or attempt to inflict offensive physical contact or bodily harm on a person. That could be like putting a fist at them or actually hitting them. And then anything that makes them feel like they're in danger. And then a weapon, which is defined as anything that is used to injure or to defeat or destroy someone. So that could be as simple as someone using a stick to hit someone. So by those definitions, an assault weapon can be anything. So you could use a stick like I just mentioned, and so it'd be an assault stick, or you can use a club and it'd be an assault club. The only reason they use the term assault weapon is because of the assault weapons ban that was put in forth at 1994, which they used, and when they explained what an assault weapon was, it was just a made-up term, which it still is, and they just defined that. Under that ban, they just had 18 different types of weapons that they had separated out. So they were more military-looking weapons, though they were made for civilians. And so one of the terms used mainly today is, as you guys can see on the screen, which is assault rifles. And this is defined by the Department of Defense, which is assault rifles are short, compact, selective fire weapons that fire a cartridge intermediate in power between submachine gun and rifle cartridges, which means the weapon can change fire, so it can be from automatic, where you just hold down the trigger and it keeps firing, to semi-automatic, where you have to pull the trigger every time, or to burst, where it shoots usually 3 rounds at that time, or 2, depending on the make of the model. It's one of the things that I'll use to support this, because I think these weapons should be allowed. Or assault weapons in terms aren't described enough in a position where they can be, whether they aren't allowed or not. And I think they should be allowed under the Second Amendment because it protects our right to self-preservation. So some of the facts that I have right here are the FBI statistics, and that is based on, these are for deaths that have happened in 2016. And it involves people using their hands and fists, which is the gray, and the orange is for knives and cutting, and the blue is rifles. So as you can see by that, between rifles and knives, you're 4 more times likely to be stabbed in the United States with a knife than shot with a rifle. And then with this, you're 2 times as likely to be beat to death than shot with a rifle. And another thing is the number of deaths annually, around 36,000. This was reported in 2015 by the CDC. And so the breakdown of that is, most of that, people would say, well, that's gun deaths or deaths with firearms, so people take and use these, and they say that the firearm is the main problem that's used to kill people. Well, the main thing with it is 22,000 of these are of the firearm deaths every year are suicides. So people should be focusing more on mental health than the weapon, because the weapons aren't being used to kill people. And around 12,000 are used for actual homicides, which those are, when they're broken down, they're found in the cities with the most gun control, because the gun control, more laws and stuff do not protect the people. It just takes the guns away from those who don't want to break the law. And then the others are between unintentional, undetermined, and law enforcement firings, where they've had to discharge a weapon to protect themselves. And then another one of the main things is that they say a Florida University professor, who was Gary Kleck, used the CDC's information that they had collected and hadn't widely published. It was more hidden, and he had found that between 500,000 to 3 million lives are saved every year with the use of a firearm, which can be from the simple use of brandishing or just being in the area to whether someone actually had to discharge it to protect themselves. And so, to reiterate on all that, so my main point was to prove that the use of firearms can be used to protect you, which is why the Second Amendment should protect it, because it is a part of our Bill of Rights, which is set forth by the government to make sure that our rights are protected. Thank you.